Where are you coming from, man? You coming live from the parents' basement or what?
That's me.
Ryan Sullivan, welcome to Build with Rob. How are you?
And that's Rob.
All right, take it back.
If you're watching this, you probably know this guy. His name is Rob Dyrdek. And I am lucky enough to be on his podcast somehow, but in doing so, I didn't get everything right.
That
Like 80-20 though, I just, that's really it.
No, I mean, it's not even 80-20. It is, as you may or may not know, I track all of my time, and I can tell you.
Yeah, I should not have thrown that percentage.
You know
in
what I'm
there.
saying?
The moral of the story is do not throw random percentages at Rob Dyrdek. And the moral of the episode is, well, let's just jump into it.
Ryan Sullivan, welcome to Build with Rob. How are you?
Rob, thank you so much for having me, man. I'm doing great.
Where are you coming from, man? You coming live from the parents' basement or what?
Garage, parents' garage, but New Jersey, USA, baby. Represent. Been here
Man,
my whole life. Yes, sir.
that's a really nice looking garage.
Yeah, so my dad kind of made it when I was a kid as like a man cave, and then I ended up spending a couple nights out here, and then I kind of just, next thing he knew, it was a podcast studio, and I guess he figured, well, you know, this is my kid's job, so I might as well just let him do it.
Yeah, I love it.
He hasn't asked for it back yet, so gotta be grateful for that,
Yeah,
Rob.
you got great parents if they're allowing the studio to be in the man cave, you know. All right, look, tell me, lay out like your business, and then let's have a quick discussion about sort of what you created up to
That's
this
it.
point.
So podcast creation and launch for personal brands. I saw a lot of everything in this space that I've seen is a lot of B2B everything. Just create a podcast to get sales, create a podcast for your ideal client, all these things. But what about people like myself? I'm a rapper, podcaster, producer. I wanted to make one for my little audience. What about people like Rob Dyrdek? Like you have this huge company around you, Rob, but you're a personal brand, right? So there was no one stop shop, one company creating them for personal brands. And after I left, I'm like, I don't want to work for companies anymore. I don't want to work for huge teams. I want to work with solo individuals. Yeah.
And then for you, in launching the business, like what has been like the biggest challenge, and where do you see the opportunity for you right now?
Definitely my challenge has been scalability, and then also, I guess, developing the team.
Yeah, and look, the truth is it's a very personal business that you've created, that and it's based off your personal experience, and you're everything. You're the sales guy, you're the strategy, you're the creative, you're the, like, you basically are the one-man show. Like, you may have some partners with you helping on the operational side, but at the end of the day, it's also like a super personal business, right? And for you, your relationship with that client is ultimately the lifetime value of how they are to you, or what they are to the business. But ultimately, the real lifetime value of them as a customer is the output that they get from their podcast, right? Because the problem with finding a personal brand, someone trying to speak to their brand, the people that know you rapping on the weekends, right? Like, on the other side, like that, how much value and time and money can you spend on that before it's like, I'm not sure if I should be spending all this time and money on a podcast right now, versus these sort of, I don't necessarily want to call it B2B, but where you can help create value for a real estate guy, a car salesman guy, these different sort of people that can directly look at, okay, I sold 3 more cars this year. Oh, look at this. I got 5 more clients because of this. Like it's the actual ROI for who you're making the product for, or building the podcast for, is where you're going to have a much stickier, more valued sort of consumer, if you will, and just when I think about what you're doing and what led you to get here, because it's the classic example of you built the skill set by doing it for the agency, and then I could make a business out of this and do this for other people. And then, boy, what happens? Like, then it's like a business. Now it's hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, and creative services, boy, whoo! Creative services is.
I didn't realize this was like this, Rob. I thought I was like, all right, cool, man. I'll edit some audio.
Oh.
How crazy could it be?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, and like you said, the personalize the thing. And it's like, yeah, people love me. They love working with me. And like, but how do you scale that 100x, scale that, or whatever you want to do? It depends on your goals. But anyway, that's where LinkedIn came in for me, because my content, my engaging on LinkedIn, it still it does to this day. It brings people to me, but I'm only one me.
Right. And that's the, it's the all creative services kind of like arrow back to the one sort of founder, the creative voice that you're basically connecting with. So,
Mastermind,
I think you should look at it from a couple different ways. Like, obviously, it's the more clients you have, the better. Right. But it's really the quality of the clients versus the scale of the clients. Right. Because at the end of the day, you want to keep giving value and keep monetizing like your core clients, that basically you're this end-to-end solution for them, that they're seeing results and growth in their social media, and their friends are saying they love it and this and that, and they're seeing the results in their own clients or whatever it may be. So they want this to keep going. And one way to scale is to have less clients and have more ways to monetize them, right? But the truth is you really just are going to be in that position of always wanting quality over quantity, and then determining what your goal is connected to that. And then you can begin to look at, okay, now I have this base, then I could hire somebody that could then replace me. And then how do we begin to automate this and create tiers, right, for a much easier, lower level? But the question is that what you want to do with your time and your life and everything that you're designing with this business? You know what I mean? Because you got a lot of other aspirations and seem that you have other things that you want to do,
Yeah, that's really it. It's where do I want it to go? See, I was under indexed on the digital. I thought that, okay, cool, I'll sell some podcasts online, I'll do some audio editing from home, it's COVID. And then I'll open a studio and just have a recording studio, done for you podcast studio. You come in, personal brands, businesses, whatever it might be, you get a producer. I mean, this model is in every city, right? And I thought that's what it was, but then I realized like the scalability, and then working with people all around the country, I can just help more people. So then my goals kind of changed a little bit, where it's like, yeah, I want to be the studio guy. I've worked in and out of studios. I love that concept, but the digital is way too promising. The people who stayed online during COVID, they're still online. They're still consuming online. They're still making content online. So yeah, that's where the goal has kind of shifted a little bit for me. And then that's what brings that question of, also, now that that's changed, how do I want to balance these other passions where in their own right, I believe they could also be as effective or, as monetarily valuable.
Yeah. And look, and I think it's you're still young, right? And this, there's that aspiration. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be my own boss. I want to go do it. And everything that you're doing with this project is building your toolkit, building your experience, building your understanding, right? Like all these things that you learned about the business, you would have had no idea had you not done it, right? Because you just don't understand how difficult something, you don't know what you don't know until you realize you don't know it, right? Like, and that's the cycle of almost all young entrepreneurs, you know what I mean? And sometimes those are insurmountable, and the business can't survive because you make a decision of, it's just too much work. And my goal wasn't to like have more work and be basically locked into this idea. This was going to be a means to an end, if you will, for me to do other things. So when it comes to balancing those, I really think you've got to define what's the most important and what purpose each of them serve. And then how do you design and grow them to serve each other and give yourself the freedom to pursue other things, right?
So does that look like sorry to cut you off, but I'm just curious, does that look like a framework that, like, similar to what you have? Is the kind of like the next step then to create that type of life design framework, or is it more in answering those questions for myself first?
I think it's both, right? But if I was to like, I look at the business as like, how do I get, you know, 15 core clients that cover my living and lifestyle expenses, and I can slowly hire a couple bodies and get it into where I reduce it from, you know, taking 10 hours a day down to 3 hours a day so that I'm now sustainable. And then I can now focus on, going and doing shows on the weekend, whatever it may be. It's basically defining the purpose of everything you're creating, then sacrificing with intent to get it into the place that you want, that it's serving your greater design for the life that you want to live. And I had to learn it through television, right? Like where I just didn't want to be on television, and I didn't want to be on MTV at 40. I'm like, man, this is outrageous. I can't still be on this show at 40 when I was like trying to decide what my life looked like. And so what was happening? You know, like going and shooting Ridiculousness was like this burden. I was just constantly like, oh, I wish I was like focused on business and these other things. But when I finally designed the life that I wanted and began to look at all those ports, I realized, well, TV is actually this really like huge value that allows me to generate all this income and awareness that can give me sort of the leverage and the time to continue to work on building the machine and sort of my venture stuff that I want to do. I reframed it. And then I was like, wow, like then look at this unfair advantage that you have in the media space. Like you should build and sell, let your first build and sold company be a production company because you have the revenue built in with the television show. And when it completely reframed and they connected, like I then like the energy and the purpose of shooting the show changed for me. And now it was about building Super Jacket and this amazing company that's going to be my first company that I built and sold. And what happened? It was the first company I built and sold. You know, and it laid the foundation for basically the evolution into what became who I am in this show and what the Dyrdek machine is to this day. And I at the same time designed what was happiness to me and how I wanted to spend my time and when I do make money, what am I going to do with the money? Like I designed everything together and what it all meant, and then went out and began to do it. And together, like I was still being able to try new things and along the way, but was like evolving and growing as one unified sort of system, if you will. It's just what I think you should just kind of consider as you look at not trading off which one's more important, but putting a strategy to each one.
And how do they feed into that grand vision, more future focused? Yeah. And
knowing that there's still a part of you that may change in 5 years. Yeah. You know,
most likely will.
Yeah, because you got to think, I did that at 40. You know what I mean? Now I'm 47. And I still have like another 300 episodes on this contract, and I will probably I would shoot this thing till I'm 60 now. You know what I mean? Like, I have so highly optimized it because you got to think about it. It used to take all this time and energy. And then I spent so much focus on how do I get it more and more effortless. And I literally drove it to where it takes almost no mind share, no time. It's the smallest sliver of my life. And it has this huge output. That
like 80-20 though, I just, that's really it.
No, I mean, it's not even 80-20. It is, as you may or may not know, I track all of my time, and I can tell you,
I should not have thrown that percentage.
You know what I'm saying? Shooting 250 episodes of television each year is exactly 4% of my time. And that is a highly optimized, fully balanced human being who then applied, deep optimization to shooting a television show and getting it to that place. But I if we could push off into your future, right? If you can build the systems and build sort of the principles and strategies of the quality of clientele and how you service them and what you expect out of them and their long-term value, your podcast principles could be what is generating you great sustainable income that's allowing you to live out the adventure of the life that you choose to do with your remaining time and drive it to 4% instead of 80% of your time at this point. You know what I mean? Is just something to consider just as you look at everything. And even if you change, if you begin to think of life like this, you just get better and better.
You make every decision feeds into that.
That's it. Every decision matters as it relates to your system of life and how it all integrates. And the more, and if you begin to look at it like that, then you get better and better at designing it, better and better at growing it together harmoniously, which ultimately leads to a fulfilling, happy life. And the truth is, like, define it. I defined the life that I live today. I defined it in 2015. I set off on a journey to realize it in 2016, and I realized the entirety of it within 5 years. And now I am like, my vision for the next version is almost perpetual, because now I have so much harmony in the way it's all been designed and so much clarity. As you continue to grow, you keep seeing further and further. But you just got to define it in the beginning and get through that first set of milestones of what's possible, because then you believe anything's possible. You know,
I'll do it now at 23, Rob.
That's it. I wish I would have did it at 23.
That's the beauty of this, though, man. Yeah. I read Tim Ferriss when I was 17, started a digital business at 21. I watched Gary Vee for 7 years, met him in 2019, then started my business. Like, now I'm talking to you. It's like, I have to apply this stuff. I think that's a real, there's so much shiny object syndrome, man, everywhere. And people, we want to change our goals just because we find something else that's cool. Yeah. Whereas the thing we're grinding on for 5 years isn't as exciting anymore. And it's tough, but I mean, I'm just gonna take your advice. It's basically
Look, and I like that it's gonna go Tim Ferriss, Gary Vee, and Robbie D. You
know what
I mean?
Sir.
And then Robbie D told me I needed to look at my life as these integrated systems and design them all together and grow into the ideal life. And that's what I'm living today. Look, if you go, like, I picture you in 7 or 8 years, like, being like a Tim Ferriss, Gary Vee, Robbie D, of like, here's the guys that mentored me, and then here's the position when I met them, and then this is the evolution that I became. I hope to see it.
That's it. That's what we're doing, Rob.
All right. Well, look, it was a pleasure to meet you. I wish you the absolute best in the entire business. But again, just seek quality over quantity. And really understand what you expect to get out of that business. Let it be your anchor of sustainability, so you could be rapping on the weekends. Try to find that hit song. You know what I mean?
Rob, you don't know how much this means to me. I got my best friend sitting next to me. I mean, I've been here since, I've been watching you for 15 years, man. It's crazy to be here. And thank you just so much, not just for me, but for doing this for us. There's not a lot of people that we can actually have access to get these real answers from people who are actually doing it. So thank you so much for doing this, man.
I appreciate it, man. Best of luck to you, man.
That was crazy, but this is just the beginning, not the end of the saga with Rob. Since this interview, I've taken his advice, and if you'd like to know exactly how it's working and how you can do it yourself, make sure to hit subscribe. Right now on the screen, you're going to see 2 videos. Either of those videos are going to dive in to exactly what we're doing now, and again, how you can do this for yourself. For me, I went from mechanic to podcaster. Not sure what that is for you, but it's completely possible. So with that being said, make sure to subscribe, and we'll catch you next week.